Let's look at question 41 to 50 of the 2021 JAMB Chemistry examination questions. Question 41 says beryllium and aluminium have similar properties because they A are both metals, B belongs to the same group, C belongs to the same period, D are positioned diagonally to each other. So what's the correct answer to this question? The first thing you want to note is that beryllium with atomic symbol Be is under group 2 and period 2 in the periodic table. Also, aluminium with symbol Al is in group 3 and period 3 of the periodic table. And hence, in your periodic table, if you check under group 2 and group 3, you have beryllium here, right? Group 2 and the second row. Also, you have aluminium here, which is group 3 and period 3, that's third row. Looking at this, you observe that they form something called a diagonal relationship, right? They form a diagonal relationship. Now you want to note that there is something about elements that form diagonal relationship, and that is that elements that show or form diagonal relationships usually have similar properties due to them having either similar charge or similar radius or similar polarization path. So for this question here, they said beryllium and aluminium have similar properties because the correct answer would be D. That's D, because they are positioned diagonally to each other. All right. Don't forget that when elements have diagonal relationship, they usually have similar properties due to similar charge or similar radius or similar polarization path. So the correct option there is D. Question 42. You have this. This is ethyl ethanoate plus water produces ethanoic acid plus ethanol. The question here says the purpose of hydrogen ion in the reaction above, that's this one here, is to A. Increase the yield of products, B. Maintain the solution at a constant pH, C. Increase the rate of hydrolysis, or D. Decrease the rate of the reverse reaction. Now for this question, you want to note that H plus, which is hydrogen ion, for this particular reaction acts as a catalyst, more specifically an acid catalyst, and it aids for ester hydrolysis. What you have here, ethyl ethanoate, is an ester, and this reaction here is the hydrolysis of an ester. For this particular hydrolysis of an ester, you need hydrogen ion to make the reaction occur faster, which means hydrogen ion acts as a catalyst to increase the rate of the hydrolysis. And don't forget that catalyst increases the rate of a reaction by lowering the energy barrier or the activation energy. So considering the options here, the correct answer is C, to increase the rate of the hydrolysis of the ester here. So that's the correct answer, C. Question 43, you have 3 moles of iron plus 4 moles of water to produce iron 2,3 oxide plus 4 moles of hydrogen. The question says the equilibrium constant K of the reaction above, that's this, is represented as, you have option A, option B, option C, and option D. So what's the correct answer for this question? Now for this question, you want to recall that equilibrium constant K is equal to the concentration of products, right? Just a reminder, concentration of products raised to power n, where n here is simply the number of moles of each product divided by the concentration of reactants. So this of reactants to power m, where m is the number of moles of the reactants. Now with this, let's try to answer this question. For this question, the K equilibrium constant will be equal to, let's start with products. For the product part, we have this and this one here. Let's take the first one, which is this. Here you have, open a square bracket, Fe3O4. You have this. This will be raised to power. The coefficient here is 1, right? So it will be raised to power 1, which is the same thing as just this. It's the same thing. The next product here is hydrogen, H2. So H2 raised to the number of moles or the number attached to it, which is 4, raised to the number attached to it, which is 4. So this all divided by, so we're done with products. Let's take reactants. For reactants, the first reactant I have there is Fe, that's iron, having 3 moles. So square bracket Fe, iron, having 3 moles. And then finally, you now have H2O, water, having 4 moles. So H2O, water, having 4 moles. So this is the correct answer. So let's look at this. Which of this option has this answer? Okay, I think what is similar there is D, but D does not have the last one. So come to D. Perhaps it's a typo error. We'll now add H2O to power 4. Now it's correct. So this 3 is not up, this 3 is down. This 4 is not up, it's down. The H2 is not up, it's down. All right, so with this, we now have Fe3O4 into H2 to power 4 divided by Fe to power 3, then H2O to power 4. So we'll take D as the correct answer. All right, so basically, this is how this is done. Okay, concentration, which is represented by square brackets of products, all raised to the power of their, for each of them, their number of moles, all over concentration of each reactant raised to the number of moles. So option D is your answer. Question 44. In an endothermic reaction, if there is a loss in entropy, the reaction will A, not be spontaneous, B, be at equilibrium, C, be indeterminate, D, be spontaneous. So what is the correct answer to this question? Now, for this question 44, you want to note that if there's a loss in entropy, the average kinetic energy is also reduced. Okay? When there's a loss in entropy, the average kinetic energy will also be reduced. And when the average kinetic energy is reduced, the temperature will also reduce. Hence, the temperature decreases. Now, since the reaction is endothermic, as stated, it will only be spontaneous when there is an increase in temperature. So for an endothermic reaction, it will only be spontaneous if there's an increase in temperature. But then, considering that we have a loss in entropy, there will be a reduction in temperature. So what will happen? You now observe that this particular reaction will not be spontaneous. Why? Because the temperature that we need, or the increase in temperature that we need for it to be spontaneous, is not given. Instead, we have an opposite case where there is a loss in entropy and hence a loss in the kinetic energy and hence a loss in temperature, which will now result in the reaction not being spontaneous. The correct answer is A. It will not be spontaneous. Please take note. Next up, question number 45. 45 says the radioactive radiation used in studying the arrangement of particles in giant organic molecules is A. Gamma rays, B. Alpha rays, C. X rays, D. Beta rays. Now for 45, you want to take note that the correct answer here, or the correct option here, is C. X rays. All right. Note that X-rays, they are used to study arrangement or structures of large molecules or crystals. And why is this so? This is so because X-rays have more penetrating power. So the correct option there is C, X-rays. Next up, question 46. The alkanol obtained from the production of soap is A. Propanol, B. Ethanol, C. Glycerol, D. Methanol. Now, for this question here, the correct option is C. Glycerol. First things first, you want to note that the process that is used in the production of soap is called saponification. So you have saponification. Now, this saponification process produces two things there. The first thing you have is soap. The first thing you have there is soap, and then after soap, you now have glycerol. All right, you have glycerol. So it produces soap as well as glycerol. So hence, the alkanol obtained is actually glycerol. And you want to take note that the proper IUPAC name for glycerol is actually propan 1,2,3 triol. All right, so it produces propan 1,2,3 triol. And this is a trihydric alcohol. This is the same thing as glycerol. So the correct answer there is glycerol. Question 47. 47 says in the electrolysis of, this should be CuSO4. Yep, that's it. Okay, 47. In the electrolysis of copper tetraoxosulfate 6 using platinum electrodes, the reaction at the anode is, you have option A, option B, option C, and option D. So how do we answer this question here? Now, take note that at the anode, for 47, at the anode, the reaction there is 4 moles of hydroxide ion would give you 2 moles of water plus oxygen plus 4 electrons. So 4 electrons there. All right. Now, this is the standard anodic process for aqueous electrolysis with platinum. Now, this is known as the standard anodic process for aqueous electrolysis with platinum. If I move the number of electrons to the left-hand part of the equation, I'll be having 4 moles of the hydroxide ion. Move this over here. This was positive, it becomes negative, so it becomes minus 4 electrons, and that will yield 2 moles of water plus oxygen. So you have this. So let's check which option has this particular answer. So let's see this for question 47. Now, inspecting this, we can see that the correct option there is B. Look at this. That's what we got. All right. So B is your answer. 4 moles of hydroxide ion minus 4 electrons will produce 2 moles of water plus oxygen. Next up, question number 48. 48 says a few drops of sodium hydroxide solution was added to an unknown salt, forming a white precipitate which is insoluble in excess solution. The cation likely present is A, zinc 2 ion, B, lead 2 ion, C, calcium ion, D, aluminium ion. Of course, aluminium ion is supposed to be Al3 plus, so correct the 3 plus. All right, so we have this. All right, so which of this is the correct answer? First things first, you want to note that if this zinc 2 ion, combines with sodium hydroxide, what you have there is zinc hydroxide, that's ZnOH2. You have this. And zinc hydroxide is white, but it dissolves in excess sodium hydroxide. The question says, which is insoluble, that it does not dissolve in excess of the solution of sodium hydroxide. This one dissolves, so A cannot be the answer. Look at C, calcium ion. If calcium ion combines with sodium hydroxide, you have this. So you'd have this. That's calcium hydroxide. Now, this is calcium hydroxide is slightly soluble. All right, it's slightly soluble. So it is not insoluble. It's actually slightly soluble. So C cannot be the answer. If you look at aluminium hydroxide, if you look at aluminium ion, when this combines with sodium hydroxide, you'll be having aluminium hydroxide, which is Al. Let me write this better. AlOH3. So this will be formed. Now you want to note that for this one here, aluminium hydroxide is white. So yes, a white precipitate, this is supposed to be white, okay? A white precipitate will be formed, but then this precipitate also dissolves in excess sodium hydroxide. So let's find which of these does not dissolve. The correct answer there will be B, because when we have lead 2 combining with sodium hydroxide, what you have there is lead hydroxide. This is white, all right? It forms a white precipitate, and this white precipitate does not dissolve in excess sodium hydroxide solution. So hence we can say it is insoluble in excess sodium hydroxide solution. So the correct answer there is B, all right? So take note that B, that's lead 2 ion, is the correct answer, all right? Okay, next up, let's look at question number 49. 49 says 2 moles of sulfur 2 oxide plus oxygen would yield 2 moles of sulfur 2 oxide. The change in heat energy is equal to minus 395.7 kilojoules per mole. The question here says in the reaction above, that's this, the concentration of sulfur 2 oxide can be increased by A, increasing the temperature, B, the addition of a catalyst, C, decreasing the pressure, D, decreasing the temperature. So which of these is the correct answer? Now, the first thing you want to note for this reaction is that this particular reaction is exothermic. All right, it's an exothermic reaction. Now, how do I know that this reaction is exothermic? It's simple, because the change in heat energy is negative. So whenever your change in heat energy is negative, you have an exothermic reaction. So decreasing the temperature of this particular reaction would shift the equilibrium towards the product or the product side according to Le Chatelier's principle. Also, for an exothermic reaction, the temperature of the product is lesser than that of the reactants. So for more product to be formed, the temperature of the system has to be reduced, which will allow the equilibrium position shifts to the product side. So for this question here, the correct answer there is D. We have to decrease the temperature, all right? So you have to decrease the temperature. So decreasing the temperature here will allow the equilibrium position to shift to the product side. So that's the correct answer, D. Finally, question 50. How many protons, neutrons, and electrons, respectively, are present in the element? This CO is actually cobalt. You have option A, option B, option C, and option D. So cobalt there is atomic number 27. So cobalt, atomic number 27, mass number 60. You're asked respectively protons, neutrons, and electrons. The number of protons P, neutrons N, electrons E. All right, so how do we solve this question? What do we do? The first thing you want to notice is that the easiest to get is number of protons. And number of protons is equal to the atomic number, which is the number at the lower left part of this, which is 27. So number of protons is 27. Let's get the number of neutrons. For neutrons, you want to take note that the mass number, which is the one here, 60, mass number is equal to proton plus neutron. The number of protons plus number of neutrons gives you the mass number as 60. We already have the number of protons as 27. So you have 27 plus n is equal to 60, where n is number of neutrons. So n will be equal to 60 minus 27, and that's equal to 33. The number of neutrons is 33 neutrons. Finally, for electrons, that will be equal to, again, you want to note that for a neutral atom, number of protons is equal to number of electrons. How do I know that this particular atom is neutral? The atom does not have negative or positive. So whenever you have an atom that does not have either a negative sign or a positive sign attached to it, it is simply a neutral atom. And for a neutral atom, number of elements or number of electrons is equal to number of protons. And since we have number of protons at 27, this is equal to 27. So the number of protons, neutrons, and electrons becomes 27 protons, 33 neutrons, and 27 electrons. So it becomes 27, 33, 27, respectively. So let's see which option is that. That is option C. So option C becomes the correct answer. So if you enjoyed this video and you want more JAMB examination past question and solution for JAMB Physics, JAMB Chemistry, JAMB Mathematics, and JAMB Biology, simply hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, and turn on the bell icon. All right, hit the bell icon and select all so that you get notified whenever we publish our daily JAMB past questions and answer. Okay, guys, so please take note that we have a JAMB WhatsApp group for 2026 JAMB Bites. All right. So if you're writing JAMB for 2026, we have a JAMB WhatsApp group where we do daily revisions on physics, chemistry, mathematics, and biology. So if you're a science student and you want to join our JAMB WhatsApp group, I'll leave a link to the JAMB WhatsApp group in the video description. All right. You can also join our JAMB channel membership to get access to exclusive content for JAMB Bites, or you can get the full JAMB course on our website. Simply visit www.jonahimmanuel.com/courses and you see the JAMB/WAEC classes. All right. Okay, guys. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button. All right. Like this video. Also leave a comment. Right, for the comments, I gave you a task, question number 11. Solve it, leave your answer in the comment section, and I'll tell you if you're correct or not. Don't forget to also subscribe. If it's your first time here or you're yet to subscribe, please do what to subscribe, hit the bell icon, and select all so that you get notified whenever we upload a new content. Then finally, ensure to share this video to your friends and their colleagues so that they can also learn. Thank you and see you in our next class.